Somewhere on your street, there is a hydrangea that has not bloomed in 3 years. It is not sick, it is not dying. It is huge, green, glossy, absolutely thriving, and completely, stubbornly flowerless. And the person who owns it has probably decided the plant is just difficult, or the soil is wrong, or the weather has changed, or hydrangeas simply don't do well here anymore. None of that is true. A hydrangea that refuses to bloom is almost never a mystery. It is a receipt. Somewhere in the last 12 months, something happened to that plant. Usually something small, usually something well-intentioned. And the flowers were the price. The plant survives, it just quietly stops paying you. So today, I'm going to walk you through the 5 things you must never do to a hydrangea. And I'm going to do it in the order they actually happen across the year. Late winter, planting time, early summer, the heat of high summer, and then the autumn tidy up. By the end of this, you will not just have a list, you will be able to look at your own hydrangea, work out which of the 5 got it, and know exactly what to do differently starting this season. Let's start where most of the damage begins. 1. Late winter. Never cut it back because it looks dead. In late winter, your hydrangea looks like a bundle of gray sticks. No leaves, no green, nothing. Every instinct you have as a gardener says clean this up, cut it down, start fresh. Do not touch it. Here is what almost nobody tells you. Hydrangeas are not one plant, they are several very different plants sold under one name, and they set their flower buds at completely different times of year. The big mophead and lacecap types, the ones with the round blue or pink heads, the classic hydrangea, set next summer's flower buds in late summer of the previous year. Same with the oakleaf types, the ones with the big lobed leaves that go burgundy in autumn. That means by the time you're standing there in February with the pruners, next July's flowers are already sitting inside those dead-looking sticks. Cut the stick, cut the flower. The plant will regrow beautifully. It will be green, healthy, vigorous, and it will not bloom because you removed every bud it made. The other group, panicle hydrangeas with the cone-shaped heads and the smooth types like the big white snowball varieties, bloom on brand new growth. Those you can cut hard and they'll be better for it. So how do you tell which one you have without waiting a whole year to find out? 2 ways. First, the scratch test. Take your thumbnail and scrape a tiny bit of bark off a stem about halfway up. If it's green and slightly moist underneath, that stem is alive and it's carrying buds. If it's tan and dry and snaps, that section is genuinely dead and can go. Work your way down the stem until you hit green and cut just above that point. That's it. That's your entire late winter pruning job. Second, look at the shape of last year's flower. Round ball, blooms on old wood, leave it alone. Long cone, blooms on new wood, cut away. If you cannot remember what it looked like, do nothing for 1 full season and take a photo when it flowers. 1 wasted year beats 3. And while we're here, this is also why you should stop deadheading in autumn. Those crispy brown flower heads you want to snip off in October are sitting directly above next year's buds, and they act like a little umbrella through winter frost. Leave them on. Take them off in spring when you can see green. Quick one, if you actually want a step-by-step guide for all this, maybe your plant's struggling or you just can't get it to bloom, I put every fix into one cheat sheet. You get everything in my Plant Fix and Bloom cheat sheet. It's the first link in the description. Let's continue. 2. Planting time. Never plant it against a wall or a concrete foundation. This one costs people years because once it's planted, nobody thinks to question it. You've probably heard hydrangeas like morning sun and afternoon shade. True, and most people follow it, but then they plant the shrub tight against the house, in that narrow strip between the wall and the lawn, because that's where the shade is. And that strip is one of the worst places in your entire garden for a hydrangea. 2 reasons. The first is heat. A wall, especially a light-colored wall or brick or anything facing west, soaks up sun all day and radiates it back out at the plant through the evening. Your soil thermometer would tell you that strip runs several degrees hotter than the open lawn 10 feet away. Hydrangeas have shallow, wide, thirsty roots, and they will cook there. You'll water constantly and never quite get ahead of it. The second reason is the one almost nobody knows, and it's the reason so many blue hydrangeas mysteriously turn muddy pink. Concrete leaches lime. Every time it rains, water runs off your foundation, your path, your driveway, your patio, and carries dissolved lime into the soil right beside it. Lime raises soil pH, and a blue hydrangea needs low pH, acidic soil to be able to absorb aluminum, which is the thing that actually makes the flowers blue. Raise the pH, the aluminum locks up, the blue drains out. You didn't change anything, your house did. So plant it out in the open bed, at least 3 to 4 feet clear of any hard surface, where it gets sun until about 11 in the morning and shade through the hot part of the afternoon. And one more thing while you're planting, never bury the crown. That point where the stems flare out into the roots should sit level with the soil surface, not an inch below it. Planted too deep, the crown stays wet, rots slowly, and you get a plant that declines for years without ever showing you a clear reason why. If yours is already against a wall and struggling, move it. Late autumn or very early spring, dig wide rather than deep, and give it a proper open home. It will forgive you. 3. Early summer. Never let lawn fertilizer near it. Come back to that healthy, glossy, flowerless shrub from the beginning of the video. 9 times out of 10, when I hear that description, beautiful leaves, no flowers, plant is clearly thriving, the answer is lawn feed. Lawn fertilizer is built to do one job: push leafy green growth. It's loaded with nitrogen, and nitrogen tells a plant in the plainest possible language to grow foliage and forget about reproduction. Flowers are reproduction. So the hydrangea does exactly what it's told. It throws out enormous, deep green, glorious leaves, and it makes no buds at all. Here's the part that catches people. You don't have to fertilize the hydrangea to do this. You just have to fertilize the lawn near it. Those roots run wide and shallow, far past the edge of the leaf canopy, often 2 or 3 times wider than the plant looks. Spreader granules bouncing off the edge of the lawn or a liquid feed running downhill in the rain is more than enough. And if you're using a weed and feed product, it's worse because the broadleaf herbicide in it does not distinguish between a dandelion and a hydrangea leaf. Both are broadleaf. What to do instead? Feed hydrangeas once in early spring with a balanced, slow-release fertilizer, something even, not nitrogen-heavy, and then stop. That's the whole feeding program. If your plant is already blooming well, you can obviously skip it altogether and just top the soil with 2 inches of compost. And never feed after about mid-summer. Late feeding pushes soft, new growth that has no time to harden off. The first frost kills it, and it takes that year's buds down with it. When you're treating the lawn, keep a clear buffer of at least 3 feet around the shrub, and apply on a still day so nothing drifts. 4. High summer. Never water a hydrangea without checking the soil first. This is the single most common way people accidentally kill a hydrangea, and it comes entirely from kindness. It's a hot afternoon, you walk past, and a whole plant has collapsed. Leaves hanging straight down, flower heads drooping, the whole thing looks like it's an hour from death. So you run the hose on it. Of course you do. Anyone would. But here's what's actually happening. On a hot afternoon, a hydrangea loses water through its leaves faster than the roots can pull it up, no matter how wet the soil is. So, the plant deliberately drops its leaves to reduce the surface area facing the sun. It is not a distress signal. It's a cooling strategy. It's the plant managing itself. If you water into that, you're adding water to soil that already has water at the hottest, most evaporative point of the day. And you do it again tomorrow, and again the day after. And what you end up with is a permanently waterlogged root zone. Hydrangea roots need oxygen. Sitting in wet soil, they suffocate and rot. And here's the cruel part. Root rot looks exactly like drought. Wilting, browning leaf edges, collapse. So you water more. That's how a healthy plant dies, in about 3 weeks of very attentive care. The rule is simple, and it never fails you. Never respond to afternoon wilt. Go out early the next morning instead, around 7 or 8 before the sun is on the plant. If the leaves have lifted back up overnight, that plant is fine. It was never thirsty. If the plant is still wilted at 8 in the morning, that's real. That's thirst. And now you water. And when you do water, water properly. Long, slow soaking at the base of the plant, out at the edge of the canopy where the feeding roots actually are, until the top 6 inches are genuinely wet. Once or twice a week like that beats a light daily sprinkle every time, because the shallow sprinkle only ever wets the top inch and trains the roots to stay up there where they're most vulnerable. Never spray the leaves and flowers. Wet foliage overnight is how you get powdery mildew and leaf spot. And get 2 to 3 inches of mulch down around it, kept an inch or 2 clear of the stems, because that mulch will do more for your water problem than the hose ever will. 5. Autumn. Never try to change the color with kitchen remedies. Every summer, somebody tells you to bury rusty nails at the base of a hydrangea, or pour vinegar on it, or dump coffee grounds around it, or bury a copper penny. None of that works, and some of it does real harm. Understand what color actually is in a hydrangea, and the whole thing makes sense. You are not dyeing the flower. You are changing what the roots can absorb. Blue comes from aluminum, which is already sitting in most soils. Whether the plant can take it up depends entirely on pH. Acidic soil, roughly below 5.5, and the aluminum is available. You get blue. Alkaline soil, above about 6.5, and it's locked away. You get pink. In between, you get those beautiful muddy purples. 3 things follow from that. First, only the mophead and lacecap types change color, plus the smaller serrata varieties. Panicle types and white hydrangeas will never change, no matter what you do. And white ones especially will just brown at the edges if you keep dosing them. Second, vinegar is useless. It acidifies for a few hours and then it's gone, and if you use enough to matter, you'll scorch the roots. Coffee grounds barely move pH at all, and rusty nails give you iron, which is not the element involved. Third, and most importantly, this is slow work. Buds form months before they open, and the color is set as they develop. So if you want blue flowers next summer, you start this autumn. Do it properly instead. For blue, use aluminum sulfate at the rate on the label, diluted in water, a few times through autumn and early spring, and mulch with pine needles or composted bark. For pink, use garden lime to raise the pH and avoid aluminum entirely. Go gently. Test your soil with a cheap pH kit rather than guessing. And know that if you're in an area with hard, chalky water, your tap is fighting you every time you water. Collect rainwater if you can. So, there they are. Don't cut it back in late winter without a scratch test. Don't plant it against a wall or a foundation. Don't let lawn feed anywhere near it. Don't water it because it wilted in the afternoon. And don't chase color with kitchen tricks in the week the flowers open. Now here's what I want you to do. Go look at your hydrangea today and work out which one of those 5 is yours. Then come down to the comments and tell me. I read them and I answer, and half the time the fix takes 1 season. If this cleared something up for you, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.